After we're done with this slide, I would totally understand if you need some serious therapy. This stuff is so confusing. It really makes you crazy at times. It's so unnerving. But we are going to try to demystify and simplify what's going on. So let's focus on the element of salary in determining, and that aspect of determining if somebody's exempt. So the first thing we have to think about is that salary basis, that you're paid on the basis in a salary format. Okay, let's put it that way. The definition, so to speak, is that what makes somebody on a salary basis is that no matter the amount of time they actually work, the hours put in a given pay period, and the quality of the work, the performance, there will be no deduction from a preset salary. That is a true check mark or pass when you're dealing with the concept of salary basis. There's salary level, and that's next, and you'll see that's just easy. Under the federal law, it's $4.55 a week. It requires, you can see the amount we put on there for the yearly salary. That's pretty straight ahead. What I really want to focus on is the basis, the salary basis. So if somebody is paid a fixed amount and it is not subject to reduction based on hours worked or performance, quality of performance, you have a true salary basis. What is not? This is where everything gets crazy. What is not a true salary basis? Well, here is what is not. Here's an example. I once had a client that was paying a receptionist a couple bucks over minimum wage at the time. I don't even have to, I'm sure for most of you it's obvious. Somebody who is in the position of a receptionist would never qualify as an exempt employee under executive, administrative, or professional categories. So we know that. The problem here was that the employer decided to pay this person on a salary rather than make them punch in, punch out. This is your hourly rate. This is what you make. We keep track of your hours. That's simple. Just bang, 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 because that person's hourly. In other words, their wages in a given pay period can vary depending on the hours they work. It could also vary on their performance because it can be changed. You understand? So if they do a different job, we might change the salary, who knows? Plus, if they work overtime, obviously that's what we're talking about. So the point is their salary is subject to change, it's subject to deduction if they don't put in enough hours, but yet they were being paid a salary. So they've mixed kind of apples and oranges, they've confused the situation. The end result was when this person was let go, she sued for a failure to pay overtime, meal break, and also I think to provide meal breaks and rest periods. It was a while ago. It ended up being a pretty hefty lawsuit. The employee was there for a couple of years. That's where the problem can come in, when we confuse the idea of a true salary basis, no deduction for hours or quality of performance, versus someone who's truly hourly, but we've just decided to pay using some kind of fixed predetermined amount. You can do that. It's not illegal. It's just dangerous because you got to be careful you're not missing time that was overtime and so forth and so on. That's why it's never advisable to do that with somebody who's not exempt. So salary basis, I think we've hammered away at this enough, but I really want to emphasize it just is simply that. No deduction for changing hours because there is no hourly requirement. It is the nature of the job. Get your job done. That's it. Salary level, look at the slide. It's obvious, $4.55 a week. It says the amount in a year. Here's the other thing. I said it on the other slide. I'm going to say it again. Check for state law because state law is vital in determining the level. A lot of states will require their minimum wage, which might be beyond the federal. So again, look to the state. Now, if we're talking about the hours worked and that it's not dependent on hours worked. It literally means that. So if somebody's ready, willing, and able to work, they've got to be paid. If the company has closed for a particular reason that is not an act of God, in other words, it was within the control of the employer, and that individual's prevented from working and they're exempt, I'm talking about an exempt individual, they have to be paid. If they are ready and willing to work, and they have worked some point during a week, and then for some reason on one day the company shuts down, they must be paid their full salary. See, that individual who's non-exempt can be docked for the day they didn't work. Not the exempt individual. Not if they were ready, willing, and able to work. If it was no fault of theirs, the company shuts and the company had a choice, it just did it for operational or business reasons, they got to be paid. Here's where I would say, if at this point you are not on the floor drooling and in serious need of comfort, this will throw you over the edge. Because now we're talking about deductions that are permissible. I just got through basically telling you can't take away anything from an exempt employee. Well, that isn't always true. It's rare, there's limited circumstances, but here it is. So in a nutshell, if I am an exempt individual and the company I work for has a bona fide sick leave policy where I get my income is supplemented, say from PTO or vacation or sick time, if there is a policy, a written, there's that word again, a written policy that states we have a bona fide sick leave policy to compensate individuals during that time off, now there's a possibility that an exempt employee can have income deducted. So when? So let's just say I'm exempt. I take a partial day off for sickness. I take a partial day off, but I work part of the day. Can you deduct? No, you cannot. You can require the individual, if available, dip into accrued and available PTO, vacation, or sick time. But if I worked and none of that's available, there's no accrued available of any of those, PTO, vacation, sick, you got to pay me the full day. Got to pay me the full day because I worked. So there's no deduction if I work, but you can supplement the time I missed and require me to use that out of my accrued PTO, vacation, or sick. Now, what if I didn't work at all? I didn't work at all that entire day. I know some of you guys are, I could see you falling off your chairs. I knew this was going to happen. So you didn't work the whole day. What do you do? What can you do to me then? I'm exempt. What can you do to me? Well, here's what you can do. If you've got that written, bona fide policy of supplementing an employee's income when they're on a day off like that, you can make a full day deduction. A full day deduction from my pay and require me to use vacation or sick time that is in that account. So you can do a full day deduction, right? If I don't have any time available, but it's a full day, but you have that policy, you can make that deduction. There's the difference. Because in essence, if I didn't work at all on that day and the policy existed to allow me to get paid, but I didn't have anything in there, tough luck. You can have the full day deducted. You guys are, it's like chalk, isn't it? It's like a teacher with their nails on a chalkboard. Stuff is just, okay, so let's recap so far because we're not done. So one, partial day deductions, yes, if you can supplement them from a bona fide policy from PTO, vacation, sick. Full day deductions, yes, if, same thing, written policy, blah, and there's something in the bank. Okay, you just pay. But what if there's nothing in the bank? You can deduct it. So you either have enough to compensate the person for the full day. If there's nothing in there, you can deduct the full day. What if there's something in the bank, but it ain't enough to compensate for the whole day? Now you've got to pay them the whole day. Why? Because the rationale behind that is that they got paid something. They had something in the bank. And the amount of time they missed, it's like they worked. So now you got to pay the whole day. So if there's nothing in the bank, they took the time off, it was a full day, they get nothing. If there's something in the bank, they took the whole, it's like a dance. They took the whole day off, they got to get the whole day. So they get part of the day paid out of the bank, the rest in regular pay. I think you can see it if you need to, just hey, keep rewinding and rewatching this slide because it'll make sense to you. But that's it in a nutshell. Those are the permissible deductions from an exempt employee. Okay? All right, now everybody go take a nap. When you wake up, go to the next slide.